Hi, everyone. Hello. My name's Joanna Nell. Very privileged, very excited to be here on Better Reading. About to tell you what I've been reading recently. So hi to everyone. Before I'd start, I just pay my respects to the Gadigal people who are the traditional owners of the beautiful land where I am today, and extend my respects to their elders past, present and emerging, and also extend that respect to all our elders. I'm talking to you today from the beautiful northern beaches of Sydney, where I'm watching a really ominous big black cloud roll in. So let's see what the weather has in store for us today. So for those of you who don't know me, I, as you can probably tell, am from the UK originally. I've been here in Australia for 20 years now. Oh, hi, hello, good to see people there. Hello, Wendy, Melissa, Sharon, Jessica, hi. I grew up in the UK. I've been living here with my family for 20 years. I started life as a doctor. I've been working as a doctor for over 30 years, and I'm now the author of 5 novels with long names. So, there we go. So they're behind me here: The Single Ladies of Jacaranda Retirement Village, The Last Voyage of Mrs. Henry Parker, The Great Escape from Woodlands Nursing Home, The Tea Ladies of St Jude's Hospital, and my latest book here is Mrs. Winterbottom Takes a Gap Year. I'll tell you about this in a moment. So, people are telling me already what they're reading. Carolyn, Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. I love that. That was such an unusual read for me. I love that. Scrublands by Chris Hammer. Hi to Sandra. Hello, Nola from Western Australia. So the latest book, I am tackling retirement here, which I suppose is the next milestone on my life's horizon. And it tells the story of Heather and Alan Winterbottom, who are both GPs, and they've been living and working together in a practice for over 40 years, and it's finally time to hang up their stethoscopes. And they've been quite sort of focused on getting to retirement, making sure financially that they're all set up with their super and selling their practice. But on the first morning that they sit down to breakfast together after on day one of their retirement, then talk about what they want to do, what are their dreams for retirement, it turns out that they have rather different ideas. Heather wants to escape. She wants a bit of adventure. She wants to go off and retrace the steps of Homer's Odyssey, sail around the Greek islands, while unfortunately Alan wants to stay at home and grow vegetables in the garden. So it's a case of who gets to compromise, who has to sit at home and wait resentfully, or is there another way? Can they both get what they want? And I don't think it's a spoiler to say that Heather does go off and she gets her Greek adventure. She gets a little bit more than she bargained for. And so I suppose it's saying you're never too late. She's like me, I suppose, looking towards an identity beyond the job she's been doing for a long time as a doctor. So that's out. Actually, it came out last Wednesday, the 1st of November. So that's out now by Hachette. So hi, Nicole and Iona, Sandra. Sandra Scully says, I have Mrs. Winterbottom on my TBR, read The Tea Ladies and just finished Tom Lake by Anne Patchett. Yeah, I'm halfway through Tom Lake on audiobook, so it's fantastic. It's great. So my first book that I'm going to share with you is by Claire Van Ryn, and it's called The Secrets of the Huon Wren. And I think I just fell in love with this cover. I mean, it is the most beautiful cover. I do love birds, as you know, but it also has a beautiful premise. Claire is a Tasmanian writer, and this book is set in Tasmania. And it's follows the story of Alira, who's a journalist. She's writing a story for Folk magazine, and she meets Nora, a nursing home resident with dementia, who's cradling a doll in her arms. And gradually Nora reveals details about her younger life as a spirited teenage girl living beneath the grey western tears in Tasmania's heartland, of stitching linings into coffins, her father's an undertaker, of her illicit romance with a charming Polish-German migrant, and a family torn apart by heartbreak. And gradually Nora opens up to Alira, who's suffered her own recent tragedy, and the two bond and a revelation that finally fills in the missing pieces of Nora's history and has the power to set them both free. So beautiful premise too. It's set dual timeline in contemporary Thailand and 1953. As you can see, I've just started this. I just thought I'd read one chapter last night. I really couldn't put it down. The writing is exquisite. This is one of my favorite bookmarks. It was made by my son when he was about 6 years old. He's very uncrafty, unarty, and these all are all the things he associates with me. So dogs on the back, flowers, bamboo that we have all over our garden, and wine. So yeah, he's very precious to me. So Jane Harvey says, I've just finished reading The Orphans by Fiona McIntosh and The Pact by Jodi Picoult, which are both great reads. Jill says she's on the waiting list at the library, and Iona's been reading The Seven by Chris Hammer. So my second book is The Tea Ladies by Amanda Hampson. Now look at this cover. This really has Richard Osman cozy crime vibes, doesn't it? And it's quite a different direction for Amanda. You might be familiar with her other novels, all of which have been superb and very funny, but this is something new. This is a cozy mystery, and it's quite an original take on one. It's set in Surrey Hills in the 1960s in a garment factory. At the time when there were tea ladies who pushed their trolleys around factories and things, and they knew all the secrets. They knew what was really going on. And as I said, it's very funny. There is a murder, and the tea ladies, Hazel, Betty, and Irene, have to turn accidental sleuths, to try and solve this murder. And there's war broken out between two different departments in the factory. It's a lot of fun. The dialogue and some of the observations of the time are just incredible. I just howled at this. As you can see, I gave a cover quote for Amanda. She told me about this book when we were out on a walk one day, and I just was immediately excited the moment she told me about even an idea for the book. So that's published by Penguin Random House. That's out now. I don't know if anybody has read that yet. Good fun. So my next book, changing pace a little bit, is Man-Made by Tracy Spicer. So Tracy was meant to actually launch my book last week, very kindly, and unfortunately she was ill and had to pull out. I had the wonderful Michelle Barraclough stepped in at the last minute, but this book, if you're familiar with Tracy's work and writing, you know that she's such a champion for women of all ages, really, but also her writing, if you've read any of her book, is warm and funny too. And although this is about a very serious subject, so this is about, it's really about how the bias of the past is being built into the future. So it started with her young son saying to her, "Mum, I want a robot slave," and she goes, "Goodness, what has the world come to?" And it looks into how sexism and bigotry and discrimination are literally being programmed into technology and AI, and how AI is learning from these really outdated models where white male were the sort of the default, and how they're likely to perpetuate these biases and compound them into the future. So it sounds scary, but I can assure you it's entertaining, it's well written, it's very funny, Tracy's trademark humor, and I think it's essential reading for everyone, men, women, unless we really want to sleepwalk into a future which is run by young white male tech heads living in Silicon Valley. So that is Tracy Spicer's Man-Made. Wendy says hi. She says she's finishing the physical book, The Registrar by Neela Janakiramanam. I've read that too. I just thought it was, and as a doctor, scarily accurate too. So a very important book too. And Kylie's saying she's currently reading Matthew Perry's autobiography, Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing. Oh my goodness, wasn't that sad? so much to say on that. So yes, I think that would be an interesting read at the moment. One more thing to say about if you're reading Tracy's book and you're listening to it on audiobook, as I tend to do, I tend to have one in paperback and one going on audiobook, because that way I can get twice as many in. She does mention Alexa quite a bit and how we're quite rude to Alexa. We demand that she does this, that, and the other. Never say thank you or please. But if you're reading it in the car, like my car, Alexa will keep trying to butt in and answer and offer opinions. So just a warning to you. Margaret Ryan, hi Joanna, Mrs. Winterfon's on my reading list. Thank you. And she likes the sound of the Huon Wren, her kind of book. And you've read The Tea Ladies, fabulous read, suspenseful and laugh out loud funny. Yeah, that's Amanda's style there. So, okay, from something quite a sort of a serious topic to something that I think is for everyone and entertaining. You might have seen this book around at the moment. It's selling like hotcakes, and you can pick up a copy wherever you normally pick up your books. It's called A Country Fete Christmas, and it's an anthology by Alyssa Callan, Pamela Cook, Penelope Janu, Lily Malone, and Stella Quinn. So if you like Christmas, vets, animals, Australian rural settings or small town stories, and great writing, this is for you, or for someone who, a great Christmas present, I would say, because you get not only one, but 5 stories in one. Alyssa is a USA Today best-selling author. Penelope Janu and Pamela Cook are both writers in my writing group, both very talented writers. Penelope has a master's in creative writing, and Pamela teaches writing. So I can guarantee you the writing is, I've already read 2 of the stories in it, very, very good, very high standard. Stella Quinn won the Valerie Parv Award the year after I did, and she's also won the RWA's Emerald and Sapphire Awards. And Lily is a best-selling author of Australian rural romance. So there we go. Pop that on your Christmas list. It's fantastic, and it's a weighty tome. Somebody's going to be very happy with that at Christmas. So, Lisa, hi. Hi, Joanna. I'm currently reading Strange Sally Diamond by Liz Nugent. I haven't heard of that one. I must look that up. And reminded me of Room by Emma Donoghue. I love Emma Donoghue's books. And I mean, who could forget Room? What a thrilling read that was. So I like the sound of that. Thank you. I'm going to put that on my list. On to my next read. Now, don't be fooled by the lovely pink cover here. Death in Her Hands by Tessa Moshfegh. Now, my daughter handed this book on to me because she thought I would love it, and I did. It's absolutely fabulous. But she also made me these beautiful bookmarks. Look, my daughter is a crazy crocheter. She says it helps her to relax, and these were my birthday present this year. So they're absolutely treasured possessions. This book it's quite literary. Tessa is a young American writer. She's already been shortlisted and won numerous awards. And it tells the story of Vesta, who's an older lady, and she's just moved to a new area after her husband has died. And she's out on her daily walk, walking her dog Charlie, when she comes across a handwritten note on the ground. And the note says, her name was Magda. No one will ever know who killed her. It wasn't me. Here is her dead body. And so begins the mystery. And so the Vesta starts sort of brooding about this note and wondering who wrote it and who was Magda. Was she a real person? What happened to her? And we become sort of rather embroiled in her inner thoughts. And really, as we are inside her inner world, as she sort of descends into this, almost this madness. It's a full-blown obsession. So it's a really well written, it's chilling, it's addictive, it's so much more than a murder mystery. There's a twist, of course, which I didn't see coming. So yeah, my daughter, that was a good suggestion for me. Highly recommend it. It's not a huge book, but yeah, addictive. Okay. My next book here is We Need to Talk About Aging, Melissa Levy. Another sort of non-fiction book, quite a big book. It's published by Hachette, and it's on a subject obviously very quite dear to my heart, about aging. I say nobody really likes to think or talk about aging, apart from me. I love to think about it. I think about it all the time, and I like to talk about it and write about it. But this is really where the problem lies, is that because we don't talk about it, we don't like to think about something that really is inevitable. It's going to happen to all of us, and we don't like to think it's going to happen to anybody we love or to us. And really, the premises of this book is that we tend to leave it too late. We don't talk about it soon enough. We wait until there's a crisis, or until we're suddenly dealing with a relative who's got dementia or another problem, and we really don't know where to turn. So this is, it's a well-written book. It's very digestible. There are some lovely lines, some lovely observations on aging. It's basically a manual of how to navigate the issues of aging. There are chapters on what is normal aging. You know, where do we turn when we realize that something's not quite right? How to deal with depression, anxiety in later life, and dementia. You know, what it is. How do we deal with someone we love with dementia? And there's some beautiful truths in here. It's sensitively written. Here we go. We may not always have control over the twists and turns of the aging journey, but we do have control, more than we realize, over how we prepare for and respond to those challenges. Through the right education and planning, we have the power to transform our aging journeys. And the first step, however, requires that we no longer ignore or deny issues of aging. We need to shine a light on the realities of growing older by thinking and talking about later life. So, yeah, that's We Need to Talk About Aging by Melissa Levy. Okay, here's my little. Who remembers Trinny and Susanna from the 90s? I have to admit, I was a bit of a Trinny tragic, and she really helped me through lockdown, not personally, one-on-one, but I started to follow her on social media and, watched us. She really reinvented herself in her late 50s into a businesswoman, and has built up a sort of cosmetics empire. But she's also a champion for other women and young women entrepreneurs. She's very generous and giving, and of course gives fantastic style, fashion, makeup advice. So if you, this book is basically her thoughts on aging. There's some life advice in here, facing fear. One of her favorite quotes is 90% of all the things we worry about never happen. So there's fashion advice, colors, makeup, and it's more than a autobiography or a memoir, really. It's just all her thoughts and wisdom, and I treated myself to that. So I think that probably make a great Christmas present for any Trinny fans. Melissa says she loved Trinny and Susanna. And Julie says, Trinny is such a gorgeous person, has the ability to lift your spirits just by listening to her post. And she's funny too. She's very self-deprecating. She doesn't really take herself too seriously. And look, I really enjoy her show. Finally, before we finish, I need to let you into secret. Well, she may not be a secret. I want to give a bit of a shout out to Better Reading's very own Jane Tara, who as you may or may not know, has her own novel, Tilda is Visible, coming out next year. I think it's going to be published by a Firm Press. Now, I don't have a copy of the book to show you, but I was very lucky to read the manuscript, an early copy of the manuscript, and I can report it is very good indeed. It's a book about a woman of a certain age, my age basically, Tilda, who is becoming invisible. And I think a lot of us know how that feels, that cloak of invisibility that comes free gift with purchase at menopause, or even earlier than that. And even from the first line, it absolutely grabbed me. The first line is it started with her finger. It was not quite 9 a.m. when Tilda realized the little finger on her right hand was missing. And I was absolutely hooked from that. So it's highly original. It's very, very funny, totally relatable, but also at the same time empowering. And I think, like me, once you read it, you will want to give a copy to all the invisible women you know. So all the best with that, Jane. I hope it gets into the hands of all the women who need to read that. Holly's saying, yeah, it sounds brilliant. No, it's great. So I think that's all I have. I think we're coming to an end now. Nola says she's just finished Lola, an interesting story about a side of life I knew little about. Yeah, and she also says loved watching Trinny and Susanna back in the day. And Faye Given says, well done to Jane. And it is. It's, congratulations, Jane. It's fantastic. Michelle is saying, hi, Joanna, enjoying The Three Lives of Alex St. Pierre by Natasha Lester. That is a book definitely on my list for over Christmas. I've heard great things about that, and looking forward to reading that too. So whatever you're reading or whatever's on your to be read list over Christmas, or what might be on your Christmas list, then just say happy reading. Thanks for everyone who's come along and joined in and sent messages as well. I've got all these wonderful suggestions here, and yeah, can't wait to get into some of those. So all right, everyone. And if you're in Sydney, I hope you stay dry. I think storms are almost upon us now. So